Okay. So take your first moment to just check in with your body. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel where the breath or energy is moving into your rib cage. Notice if it's up in your chest or if it's down at the bottom edges of your rib cage. Just feel that. And then check your feet. Where's the weight balance between the right and the left? Just feel. How is it? And then go ahead and check your pelvis. And if you tip your pelvis backwards, can it go there? Taking the sit bones or the sit bones down, but the ASIS or anterior iliac spine up past the bones on the back, the PSIS. Just check, does that rotate? And then go the other way and tip it forward and back. And just see, does your pelvis roll over the top of your femurs? And step your feet out wider and see if that makes a difference and lets that happen more easily. And you could even turn your feet out and see if that changes your ability to do that pelvic tilt. How are the leg bones into the hips today? Good. And then bring them back in, feet pointed straight ahead. Start with your shoulder shrug. So outer edges of the feet straight, spread your toes, lift your shoulders up toward your ears and press them down. Slide them up, press them down. Feel the shoulders move over the rib cage. Allow the breath to begin to move deeper into your lungs. And then relax into a shoulder roll up and forward and around. Letting the thoracic back begin to move. And backwards for 10. Up and back and around. Feeling the shoulder blades move onto your back, pressing down in toward the middle and low back. Good. Take your legs wide again and bend your knees a little bit. And I want you to round your back, take the back of your hands and touch them together and make your back as round in the upper part of your back as possible. You can even tip your tailbone. So like that C curve in your spine. And then open it up, press your hands behind you. Maybe even see if you can interlace your fingers, go back the other way. Open that space. Open the space in the front of your shoulders, the pecs up here that could be tight. Open it up and tip your pelvis, almost like a standing cat and dog. So like you're dumping water out of your belly. And then go round again, tuck your tailbone all the way. Open the space and backwards. Interlace your fingers, pull your shoulders onto your back. Big breath. 2 more. Round, back of your hips touching. Open the shoulder blades off your back. Even grab your right wrist with your left hand and pull that shoulder blade more onto your side so that upper back can get more round, and then go the other way. This time, grab the left wrist with your right hand, open that shoulder blade, and back. Excellent. Okay, I want you to let your knees go over your toes. So sometimes in yoga they say, don't let your knees go over your toes, but it's very difficult to get out of a chair if you can't let your knees go over your toes. So it is a healthy position for your knees and ankles if you do it with some control. So allow your knees to go as far over your toes as you can, and just play with that space. Where do the ankles let go? Do you have one ankle maybe play in one side and then the other? One ankle that goes over more easily, and then stand back up. You can go down and lean back a little bit to stand back up. Knees over toes. You could keep working it. Feel like the muscles in the calves get to slide and glide through the spaces that where there's some stiffness. Do a couple more. Down. And you get farther forward and come up. One more. Hang out there and come back up. Awesome. Okay, right into standing today. Reach up, grab a knee. What I want you to do is see if on the standing leg, you can play with that pelvic position again. So we're in a really different hip position, unilateral hip position, one hip in flexion, one hip in extension, pelvic floor muscles longer on one side than the other. I want you to see if here you can tilt your pelvis backward. You might have to bend your knee. See if you could even do it with the knee straight and just manipulate the position of the pelvis. Get the hip bone in the front to be higher than the bony bump in the back. See if you can squeeze your butt muscles to help do that. That's opening up the front of the hip. And then tip it the other way so that you're lifting the back bump of your hip, putting more arch in your back, finding muscles in the front of the hip that pulls that side of the pelvis forward. And then, so single side pelvic tilt on a standing leg, down and forward. And you may feel this hip flexor in the front, it's really short, so it's gonna really engage as you go there. And then open that up as well, down and forward. How does the pelvis roll over the top of the femur on that side? Awesome. Switch. First, take it up there, standing, find your balance. That's a lot just to be there. Then start to tip your pelvis backwards and then roll the pelvis forward. And again, you may feel a lot of stuff in the front of this standing hip as that hip flexor grabs to help roll the pelvis forward. Woo! Back and forward. Can you do it? Does one side move more easily than the other? Some of us have a little bit of structural differences on a hip. Maybe there's some arthritis in a hip, or one side that the femur, for whatever reason, and the hip socket align a little bit differently. That could change how that moves over the femur. Good, first side again. As you separate the pelvis from the leg bone, see if you can do it with the knee staying straight the whole time. Tuck the pelvis, tailbone moves down toward the floor, almost like you're leaning back a little bit, that would be fine. And then roll your pelvis forward, find that right hip flexor, help the whole pelvis tip forward, letting that back bony part of that sacrum tip higher than the front of this hip bone in the front. And then back. Do it like 3 times. Backward and forward, backward Michigan. Just balancing, you should feel the proprioceptors in your ankle and your foot as we strengthen the foot. Good, 3 times on this side. Pull it up there, push the knee straight, and then find it again. Tip and forward. Backwards. As you explore, do you have one side that moves well? One side that's like, ooh, or maybe this time it's moving better since we've done it. Awesome. Standing. Let's even it out again. Grab your block, put it between your upper inner thighs. Feet straight and hug into that block. Squeeze in. Put your hands in the golfer's grip, arms by your sides, arms straight out from your shoulders. A little bit of squeeze between the shoulder blades and relax your belly. And then circle forward, 40 circles. Change your block so it's not quite so wide. So flip it long ways, yours is this way, flip it that way so that it's about hip width. There we go, there you go. Squeeze in. Can you feel both inside leg muscles, adductors, hugging the legs in? Relax your belly again. Let your shoulders talk all the way through your diaphragm, all the way down into your low back. Palms up, straight out from your shoulders, circle backwards. And release. Keep the squeeze in your upper inner thighs. Bring one arm out, bend it at the elbow into a cactus arm. And let's go ahead and go fists. Squeeze a fist. And I like that thumb against your fingers this way. You can do it this way also, but I like to be able to press into that outside of that thumb. And then rotate the arm back. You might want to watch yourself in the mirror so you can keep your elbow high. So all the way into that external rotation, all the way into the internal rotation. Elbow stays high the whole time. Good, all the way back, as far as you can get it. Find the muscles on the back side of your shoulder. Keep the rib cage relatively stable here. So let it roll back. The movement just happening in the rotator cuff. Good. Rotate the forearm. Let's go hand, fingers super spread now. Elbow stays high. Rotate that forearm all the way as far as it'll go. So in the elbow itself, you have muscles that help turn that. Yeah. Can you actually feel them working? Those muscles, when they turn on well, work all the way up in the deep part of the arm into the space behind the shoulder. Nice. Now, fist again. Take the arm all the way up. Do a huge rotation. Keep the rest of your body still. Big, big, big arm circle, like you're doing a backstroke. And forward. Awesome. Other side. Just feel for a minute, like what's happening in your rib cage on that side, what's different between one side and the other. Okay. First one, take it up and squeeze a fist, and then cactus arm into external rotation of the shoulder. Feel it. And notice, does your rib cage just want to go with you? Can you keep that all pretty stable and just let the arm rotate backward and forward? And then fingers spread really wide, go into the forearm, keeping the shoulder straight out, elbows straight out from the shoulder. Rotate the forearm with the fingers way apart. Good. Fist again, big, huge backstroke, keeping everything else stable. And forward. Awesome. Interlace your fingers, flip your arms over, take it into an overhead extension. Squeeze in on your block one more time, relax your belly. Maybe even feel some butt muscles turn on just a little bit. Then bring your ears back over your shoulder, look up as long as it feels okay in your neck. Let that neck extension happen. Keep relaxing your belly. Imagine you're on a stretcher and you're being pulled up. Bend your knees and hover your heels off the floor. Keep squeezing in. Pull back a little bit more. Take a deep breath into behind the space behind your heart. Make it expand in the backside. And heels down, release your arms. Excellent. Take this away. Bring your hands to the top of your head and your elbows narrow toward your nose. Make your ears right over your shoulders and bend your knees. Take a deep side bend up and over, pressing your ribs to the sky. So hips down, but glutes working. So stick your booty back enough in that kind of squat that your glutes, you feel the glutes turn on and support the base of your pelvis. And then from that base, lift up and out as you go into that side bend. Stick your butt out. Everybody more, stick it way back there. There you go, big breath. Inhale, come up. Other side, elbows narrow toward your nose, ribs pushing to the sky. Butt back. Open that space. Allow all of this to just expand. Come up. Again, elbows narrow, over. Lateral flexion of your spine. You can kind of bounce in that a little bit. Let it be buoyant. And up. Over last time. Down. And go up and down a little. Make more space with up and down movements. Each time, more space in the ribs. And up. Excellent. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, forward fold, knees bent, still early. Stretch your shoulders and your hips in opposite directions of each other. Feel your hamstrings. Pull your hips back enough that you turn on the backside of your body. It's an eccentric contraction of the hamstring. It's working. It's why when you're gardening or something and you're like this, you can have super, super sore hamstrings because it's trying to keep the sit bone and the back of the knee close to each other as you lengthen and load that space. So hang out there a moment, keep pulling your hips back and feel both sides. Do you have both sides having that pull through the hamstring in an even way? Add the breath. And come all the way up, hip hinge. You can take your hands to your hips. Use your butt muscles. Press your hips forward. Come on up. Okay, inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Load that hamstring again. Inhale, lengthen, heart forward, hips backward. Find your hamstrings, find the backside of your legs, almost like you're pulling your feet backward like that, so that that makes these hamstrings turn on, makes the sit bones go wider. Even press your feet apart and see if you can feel the outside of your hips turn on. Hug your feet towards each other and see if you can find your inner thighs turn on. All of those muscles, do that one more time. Push your feet apart, don't move them, but feel until these outer hip muscles turn on a little bit, and then squeeze them in. Good, and then maybe you can go a little bit farther. Hamstrings still loading. And then hands to your hips, squeeze your butt muscles. Pull them back up. Awesome. Step back. Cats and dogs. Let your hand be really strong on the ground. So this arch between the middle of your palm and the space between the pinky and the thumb, that gets to be held right through that wrist space or the retinaculum. Use the ground and the hands on the ground to get strong and feel all of that work. And then go ahead and take one hand under at whatever angle feels okay to you without loading it, but use that to work the arms straighter. Let the forearm open up a little bit. You can do the finger touches, thumb to the pinky, thumb to the ring finger, to the middle finger, and to the pointer finger. And then take that wrist back over and strengthen that hand. Flip the other hand over, open up the space in the wrist, forearm, shoulder, thumb and pinky, squeeze, feel the wrist work, feel the hand work, palm work, thumb to ring finger, press them together, find those muscles in the hand itself, and pointer, and then strengthen that hand. Walk your knees back. Let's use the strength of your hand and just take your body forward and then push it back. So kind of like a push-up, but you're going like you'd move toward the floor, and just control with your torso muscles and arm muscles what it would mean to take it forward and press back. So serratus, these muscles on the side have to work. The muscles around the whole arm has to work, and the muscles in the hand a lot. Couple more of those. As you press back, keep a flatter back. So not letting that wink happen at your tailbone until you can get as far back as possible. Feel that edge for you. You may feel cramping in the front of your hip, but keep the front hips on and the back muscles working so that as you press back, this rounding isn't happening yet. And just see how far can you go. You can just come forward and back a few times, quadruped rocking. And just feel between the two hips. How is that? You can take your knees slightly wider if you need to, but can you keep an activation in the front of the hip and push a little bit farther back before the tailbone has to tuck like that? Letting those glutes lengthen. But stay on your hands and knees and do a little bit of neck work here. Side to side. Let your head rotate. There's some work in the back of the neck that has to happen just because gravity is pressing down on your head this way. Maybe some big circles. And down and up. And then come into seated position. Sitting femur rotation. So we're going to go into the deep muscles of your hips, hands behind you, shoulders back, flex your feet back, and rotate as far as you can go out, keeping the thighs as tight as possible, and then all the way in. You should be able to feel muscles in here, muscles on the outside of your hips, all working to get that rotation to happen in your hip. Okay, sit tall, lift and lower 10 times. Very common to get a cramp in your quad or cramp in your hip flexor here. So as that happens, just shake it out, breathe through it. Second side, 10 lifts. Okay, this one you won't be able to see as much, but I want you to take your right leg and press it down into the floor. I want this whole backside to still turn on. So as you gently press your heel, and if it hurts your heel to press on the floor, you can put your block up there and press the leg down so that you're activating this whole backside, even in this sitting position. Glutes, hamstring, feel them all work, and then release. Press. You can pull the muscles up the knee, press. See if you can even lift your kneecap while you do that. If you go into a little bit of hyperextension, that's okay here. You should have between 3 and 5 degrees, I believe, of hyperextension in that knee possible to get full extension. you don't get full extension in the knee in your gait, sometimes we can end up with knee pain because that activation between the hamstring and the glute doesn't shift all the way. Good.
The other leg quiet.
Wants to help.
Yeah, that's true. Really.
Switch sides.
I'm probably be quiet.
Push down.
It's interesting, when I had a meniscus surgery years ago, this is the exercise they had me start doing within an hour of getting home.
Yeah. Yeah, they want that quad to activate and that knee extension to happen quickly. Okay, back to rotations, and then just see if activating the front and the back side changed your ability to rotate. Is that easier? Okay, sitting floor twist, your choice about the bottom leg. Pull it in and bring the bottom leg in, or leave that bottom leg out. However you are, get both butt cheeks to be back down on the floor.
If you're like,
Yeah, so if it feels like it wants to lift, try to root it back down. It should be like stretchy in there if you're this way. Good, then twist and deep breaths. Not a big push, but allow the body to open slowly. Feeling where can the low back stay pretty stable and the rib cage and above find that twist. And you can play with, do you need to root to rise? So sit bones down into the floor and lift. Does that help you? Or does it actually help you to imagine that your shoulders are being squeezed back onto your pelvis, that you're actually contracting that space? And some people feel length allows more rotation, and some people feel like more squeeze, so that the set joints kind of squeeze together, and you get to use the discs that actually allows more twist. So play with it in your body. Does that make sense? Some people need length. Some people need shortening, actually, in the torso to let things twist. And then untwist. Switch. Feel both butt cheeks get down on the ground again. And then twist. And play with it here. Do you need sit bones into the floor to lift, add more length, more curve in your spine, or do you actually need to imagine you're being kind of pressed down onto your spine? See which one allows for you to find more rotation. onto your belly. We're gonna come into a little bit of extension today. You decide for you where that is. That could be thumbs or fists just here and letting yourself breathe. That could be up on your forearm. And wherever you are, or flat, start to curl your right leg up and down. We'll nerve floss for a moment. So as you bring the leg up, drop your chin toward your chest so you're pulling the nerve down, and then head up, foot down, down. Try to squeeze that heel all the way in, head up, shoulders totally relaxing. You'll feel your thoracic back between your shoulders move a little bit. Head up, foot down, head down, foot up. And then switch. Head down, foot comes up, head up, foot goes down. Okay, this may not be for everybody. I want you to come down, reach back, grab your feet. Then begin to press your feet into your hands, hands into your feet, and go ahead and start to lift up, letting your back move into that extension. Let your shoulders come onto your back. Find those extensor muscles along the spine, along the butt, along the hamstring. And release. One more time. Reach back, grab your feet. Feel the shoulders. Take a deep breath in, but space behind your heart. And then start to press feet into hands, hands into feet. Breathe. And press up onto your hands and knees. You may just take a child's pose if you like. Counter pose that. And then up onto your hands and knees and work it into a cat cow or cats and dogs. Moving the pelvis over the top of the thigh bones, squeezing the shoulder blades together.
The music through the speakers.
Yeah. Stay fixed.
I comment on this, when I look up at those speakers and know they've never once been dusted.
Oh, I know. Oh, you and your face.
Long, no one touch, it's like asbestos, right? Just don't touch it.
Let's go up to standing one more time. standing, come into a spread foot forward bend. This time legs straight, all the way over. Work your feet, big toes down into the floor. Allow your leg bones and pelvis to drop down. Head moving toward the floor. Breathe. Once again, letting your pelvis and leg bones, pelvis drop forward so that your tailbone is starting to go up toward the sky. Hamstrings lengthen. Hip rolls or femur or pelvis rolls around the top of that thigh bone. Come out of it a little bit. Walk yourself over to one foot. Breathe. Other side. And the center. And then come all the way up. Walk it back in. Feet pointed straight ahead. Grab your leg again. Find that balance. And then see, do you have more control now in that tilt that we did at the very beginning of how the pelvis can move over the top of your leg bone? You can even just tip your whole body backward a little bit. Please don't fall over. Just see how that can go. That's a lengthening of your psoas, big time. Good. And then switch sides. Find the balance. How can you move over the top? Standing arm circles, last move again. Toes spread wide, big toes down into the floor. Let the forefoot be open. Fingers into the golfer's grip one more time. Little squeeze between the shoulder. Backwards. And I lied, last move. Turn your feet out, squeeze your butt muscles. Tighten your glutes. See if you can get an even contraction on both sides. Squeeze them. Maybe that head of the femur has to move a tiny bit more. Squeeze, release. Is it the same between the right and left side? Feet straight, same thing. Squeeze, release. How about it? Do you feel the same on both sides?
Feels more even.
More even. Good. We'll take it. More even is better.
Should our quads be engaging?
No, not right now. You
Wants
could
to
even
come
put a
along.
micro bend in your knee so that your quads are kind of out of it. And get both butt cheeks to really Squeeze like you're crushing walnuts with your butt. Okay. Go ahead and lie down, sit down, get into whatever position you would like.
Just kind of subtle hard work.
Subtle hard work. So tune into your breath. You alone control the very life force that flows in and out of your body, the prana. Your breath can be what allows you to notice some misalignments in your physical body. It can allow you to get in touch with your emotional body. Are you breathing in a shallow way? Is it shifted into a different part of your lungs or your chest? Your breath is the very thing that can pull you back to the present moment. Your mind can gently rest on the breath so that you can experience your natural state of being. So find that. Use the breath to find the pause before or when you're noticing the conditioning that's playing on you, in you. Your natural state of being is non-reactive. It takes no effort to be there. It just is. And that pause can then allow us to notice fear arising, anger arising, joy arising, pleasure arising, whatever it is that plays upon that natural state of calm. And if we can tune into our breath and simply say, what's happening here? You can choose your reaction a little more carefully. When your body is flooded with hormones and things because something is triggering, it's not easy to come back to this place, but this is the practice. And the more we do it, the better our relationship to ourselves and to other people is possible. So for the next 5 minutes, I simply want you to return to the breath, to take that pause, and to notice between your physical body and your emotional body, what's happening. Beautiful. Take a full deep breath again and begin to surface. Now your homework today is to simply come back to that as often as you can and notice between your emotional body and your physical body what's happening. Can you take that momentary pause to just notice before reacting? Okay, have a great day, everybody.
Amazing camera every time.